Of throwing to the masses what some of us have kind of like played with quite a bit before.
Kevin Mitnick's keynote was fantastic, a little scary. A lot of exploits that are out there that you may not be aware of.
I was impressed. I'm still really concerned about the bad USB exploits.
And this is called the bad USB attack. And what this does is it exploits the flaw in the controller firmware on the USB. And I'm able to change this USB into an HID device to act as a keyboard to inject keystrokes to actually drop a malware payload. So I'm going to show you how this works. It's really easy. So first of all, let me go over to the Mac here. Password's Kevin123 in case anybody was curious. And people always ask me for my password. And then I'll change it to 1234 next month. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring up, let me make this larger. What you're looking at here is just what we call a Trojan listener. And basically it's going to look for connections from compromised machines. It's a modified version of a tool called Dark Comment. And what it does is once a computer is infected, we're going to see it pop up here. And then we're going to see what control we have. You see, you'll see the little icon for McAfee. Fully patched Windows 7. So we're going to stick in the USB. And what I want you to do is pay attention to up here on the attacker machine. This attacker machine is actually in London. It's not here. I'm connected to it. And this machine is actually physically here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the USB stick. It's going to pop up. And how do you get people to plug in a USB stick? Here, I'm going to format it, by the way, make sure it's clean. And then I want you to pay attention and watch the Windows machine, because I have it timed. Usually you time it when there's idle time, when nobody's around, when somebody goes to lunch, they leave their office, and it will inject the keystrokes to drop a payload from the internet. So just keep watching this. It should be about 15 seconds. It's set for 15 to 20 seconds, and it should pop up any second. There it goes. That's it. But that would happen not immediately. Of course, when I'm doing this demo, I do it right here in front of you. And in a second, we should see the Trojan pop up here. Give it a second. Sometimes takes 20 seconds. And it's a rootkitted Trojan. There it is. Right? So this machine isn't even in our building. This is in London. And this is a piece of malware you don't want on your system. Basically, if we look at the functionality of this, it's nothing special. You could upload and download files. You could look at stored passwords. Let me show you that really quick. You could modify the registry. You could turn somebody's laptop into a room bug. So if they're using a laptop, you can enable the microphone, capture the audio files, and then transfer those audio files at any time. So essentially it becomes a room bug. Now there's a password there to VPN, Cbit rocks. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of small. Okay. And the coolest one that I like, one of my favorites, is the spy functions again, where this is webcam, so you can turn on somebody's webcam. In fact, one of the Cbit employees back there's only one guy that has tape over his webcam, so I had to laugh, right? He's probably thinking of me. Right? So I turn on the webcam, and again, this is, in London, so there's probably going to be some latency here. And over here, this light pops up, and here I am, hi. And you could basically use this malware essentially to do anything. Physically watch the person, wiretap audio, upload and download other files, which could be other types of malware. You basically have full system control of the machine. You can basically upload a tool like Windows Credential Editor and get the person's passwords. It doesn't matter.
But Kevin, isn't this proof, though, that when you are camming for anything, even when you're doing FaceTime, someone can be capturing that and you have no idea, right? Someone can be recording.
Exactly. Yeah. And they could be watching it in real time. So basically, this is something you don't want on your machine. And when we do a couple more demos today, we're going to install the same malware. I won't have to go through the functionality. But how do you get a target to plug in a USB stick? Do you leave it in the parking lot? Do you mail it in the post with some marketing material? No. You go to the company's Facebook account or wherever their website, you download their logo, and you put in red their company logo, extremely proprietary and confidential payroll salary history, second quarter 2015. I promise you somebody will open it. But I got to tell you, Germany, you guys are different. I was staying at the Marriott in Munich to speak at a different conference, and I do this all the time. I'll go to the receptionist or the concierge, and I'll give them a USB stick, and I'll need them to print out my itinerary. So I hand it to the lady at the Marriott in Munich, and I say, can you print off something on here? And she goes, I'm sorry, sir. We're not going to plug your USB drive into our computer. We're not allowed to do that. So the only time I was ever turned down was in Germany.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So this exploits a bug in the firmware, which you cannot, there's no mitigation. Just don't plug it in.
Very insightful and very alarming about how vulnerable we are to exploit.
Would you trust it just because it says no malware here? Or should we exercise some due diligence and actually scan it? Well, let's scan it. So what we'll do is we'll right-click it. We'll scan for threats. We'll clean it if it is a threat. And as we could see, McAfee antivirus didn't find anything wrong with the PDF. It's clean. So normally what somebody would do is simply double-click the PDF and open it. And what's going to happen here, it's going to try to open up the PDF file, but it appears that it's frozen. It's not actually frozen, it's actually running the hacker's exploit to take control over your computer. And as you could see, it closed the PDF file, nothing opened, but what happened over here is on the hacker's computer, we see a line. And on this line, it says that a machine name called infected